Hey guys, I got an update for you that I really didn't want to have to provide because I'm really tired of talking about this story because it doesn't get a lot of views, and I've decided to turn this channel into a business to make some money to become a 1000aire because I no longer have any hopes of ever becoming a millionaire, but becoming a 1000aire and having a couple thousand at the end of every month to do whatever I want with sounds pretty good to me, especially money if I could save it. So, I took a long time after that last video to kind of think about other more fun videos to make. And I was also doing a bunch of fun things with calisthenics, which I'll talk about my experiences with that later. But basically, a lot of stuff came out about the Ashlee Jenae situation. And I started to really, really look into what happened. And many of us were really under the impression that somehow Joe McCann had done it. But after I really, really looked into it, and really look deep into Keisha's and how they're really moving out here, I've come to the horrible conclusion that the one thing we thought about them that was good, that one really good stereotype we thought about Keisha's, that, at least they never do that thing. They never do that self upper rooming. That's not us. That's not black people. We never do that. Unfortunately, we don't know our women at all. In fact, they're not even our women. After this, I really think a lot of you black men are going to finally understand that we don't have women. And what I mean by that isn't that you can't get a wife or a girlfriend, but the idea when men say they have women, they're talking about their own race of women, like there's a connection there. There is no connection with us and black women. They are not our women. They are not our queens. They are kings. They have their own kingdom. And we really need to start understanding them so we can move properly. So I'm not happy to say this. And I was thinking for a long time, should I say this? Because I was thinking of her father, who's going to have to, he probably wants to believe that his daughter didn't do this to herself. But all signs point to the fact that Joe did not do anything to her at all. In fact, Ashlee Jenae had a lot of problems that she was keeping hidden from her social media personality that us black men could see. When she was around that white man, Joe McCann, she showed a completely different side of herself. And, if you grew up with black women like all of us did, we kind of understand that they showed a completely different face on the outside, and the one that we got at home was way different. So this is what I'm seeing. This is what happened. So Joe McCann did not murder Ashlee Jenae. Joe McCann did not commit a crime against Ashlee Jenae. Ashlee Jenae did what she did to herself, unfortunately, and this is basically what happened for you men. So Joe McCann, he got tired of taking damage to protect Ashlee's image. And unlike a lot of us black men who are stupid and we just let, Keisha's ruin us, he decided to do the smart thing and protect himself and drop a lot of receipts. And these receipts are hard to look at. And, I hope her father isn't watching this, but these receipts are real. And we need to discuss this, black men, and discuss our relationship with our quote unquote women who are not our women, by the way. So on his website, ICannotTellYou.com, he tells the full story, but I'm going to tell you the parts of the story that you're going to care about. So before we begin, I want to talk about this photo. I have no idea why Ashlee posed and let herself be posed in these photos that would basically give a guy, I'm just going to show you the photo. This photo is the greatest marketing photo for the title I Cannot Tell You, and she took it herself. And I don't know, it's pretty crazy that she set herself up, but Joe didn't do it though. You're gonna see. I just can't take the strangeness of this photo. Like, could you imagine your girl saying, hey, could you take a photo of me real quick in the woods with my finger over my face like I'm having a big secret and I'm looking very dramatic, like this is a murder mystery? And then she ends up in an investigation for a murder months later. It's just, it's very odd, but this is real life, and he still didn't do it. Ashlee was a very odd person, and you're going to see. So first, let's talk about this photo. Now, Ashlee Jenae, on her online presence, she made it seem like when she was with white men, she was the best person in the world, that black men were the problem. And now that she's finally free of us, she's going to live her soft girl life and it's going to be great. And she got the white man and everything's going to be good. And he's a rich white man. And he was taking her to nice places, but she was acting a fool. This is a photo of what Ashlee did in one of these really nice, wealthy places that my broke self would never be seeing it. He took her snowboarding, something that us blacks would never take Akeisha to because we don't do snowboarding. That's just not what we do. And apparently she had a devastating freak out where she started throwing his equipment, his snowboarding equipment, across the front yard and in the driveway as all these normal people that are used to living a life of, of like status and privilege. And she's in the middle of the street like it's the projects, and Pookie just, got caught with another girl. And for whatever reason, Joe McCann felt the need that he had to take this photo. Now, a lot of Keishas were trying to roast him up saying, why would he do that to her? But I actually understand why he did. I'm just going to admit something personal. When I was, growing up, once I actually did film my mother going crazy in one of her, I call it episodes. And the reason I filmed her is because she used to call the police on my father for no reason and make up big lies. And she would always threaten to do this to us, but I never thought she actually would. But this time she was going crazy. She was assaulting me, punching me in the face, breaking my stuff, threatening to call the cops, trying to call the cops. And she was going to tell a whole lie that was about to have the police show up. And, when police show up and you told them that there's a black adult male doing all these dangerous things, you know what they're going to do when they get to the door. So I, in my own fear, I started recording my mother because I needed the proof to defend myself because she did tell lies. She told big, dangerous lies against black men. Me, my father, black doctors in my past. I'm just being 100% honest. When the Me Too movement came in, she asked me for one of my doctors, black doctors who helped me growing up. This guy gave her a compliment. I was there. It was just an innocent, normal compliment. She wanted to sue him and say that he did all this sexual harassment stuff. And she actually asked me, hey, is this a good idea? And I told her, no, it's not a good idea. He didn't do nothing to you. She thought that I was going to be like Akeisha's daughter and be like, oh yeah, we should go ahead. So I understand why he filmed it. He must have actually been afraid that she was about to cause him some big kind of legal problem. So we started taking this secret evidence. And like me, I never planned to release the evidence. I kept it for about 6 months to a year. And when she finally, calmed down, I deleted it. But I kept that evidence because it would be the only thing to protect me if things went bad. And Joe felt the same way. And I don't think he ever planned to release this stuff because it's not making him look good. But because the situation got so bad, he released it to protect himself. And this is what he wrote about the photo. And the words are crazier than the photo. He says, at one point, Ashlee tried opening the door of my car at a high speed on a rural highway. I want you to think about that. She tried opening the car when you're going high speed on a rural highway. That is insane. On the way back from the mountain, he pulled over when it was safe to do so because Ashlee was having a panic attack, another behavior he had never seen before. Now, black men, you know how Keishas would show up with behavior that we have never seen before. They hide a lot of themselves from us. And I thought they were, they said that they acted this way because us black men are so bad, but she's with the white man now. So what's her excuse, right? I think it's just them. They have a lot in there that is just them. It goes on further to say she got out and began walking back to the house on foot. Who walks back to the house on foot in the middle of nowhere? I mean, I know Keishas do things like this all the time, and it never makes any sense, and it always freaks us out. And we're expected to never talk about it. Like any normal person, it goes on to say he pleaded with her to get back in because it wasn't safe for her. She then walked a mile and then got in an Uber. So she just wasn't having any of it. He says, when I knew she was home safe, I arrived back at the house and saw that Ashlee was standing barefoot in the driveway. She began to take all the snowboarding equipment out of my car and threw it all over the front yard and driveways. She then threw a snowboarding helmet towards me at point blank range. Does that sound like Keisha to a T? I don't know why they are so violent. And the men are expected to just take it, and we usually just take it. But that reminds me of exactly how Keishas have always been towards me. And she struck him directly in the face. He did not retaliate. You know how they always say the white man eventually gets the same Keisha we always get? And Keishas always say that, oh, they only act like that because we're so bad, because we're so inadequate. Well, guess what? Millionaire white man got the same Keisha that we have always got. And just like we did, he didn't retaliate. He just took it. He picked up all the equipment, placed it back in his car, and he just asked her to come back inside. It gets way worse, and no, there's no way this video is going to be monetized now, so I'm just going to come out and say it. It says from there, she went outside and began to walk into traffic while threatening to commit self-upper rooming by being run over. My goodness. Like any normal person, he pleaded with her to get out of the road, and he got her to finally come back inside. And after that, he was so freaked out, he just left the house to create physical distance between her and him so the situation could stabilize. Notice how Keishas are always talking about, oh, black men run away. What did the white man do? He walked away. It's not us. It's not us. No one can deal with this. And he says that he created physical distance so she could stabilize. That word stabilize really hit me hard because really being around them feels like you're tiptoeing around a person that's about to explode and drag everyone down with you all of the time. It really feels like you spend a lot of effort trying to stabilize them so they don't ruin your life and ruin their lives. It's hard to say, but it feels like you're an orderly in a mental asylum when you're dating and dealing with them a lot of the time. And they don't think there's anything wrong with this behavior. They blame the man. And it's crazy to see that this white man who's a millionaire is going through the same situation that we do. And he even took a photo. She's in the middle of the street with her hands down in the Jesus position. This woman, with all due respect, had severe problems in her inner world. The inner world is, at night when no one's looking, like who you really are in your head, when you really are just by yourself. It must have been a nightmare in there. He goes on to talk about them breaking up here or there. None of that matters. That happens to anybody else. But it does get worse. And you see that he took a photo of her in the middle of a green field. Now, why is this such an important photo? Us blacks are growing up on the internet, especially us black men. But Keishas know this too. White dudes used to always talk about this crazy fantasy we used to make fun of them for. They'd always have their women, some white woman in some kind of like medieval garb, just standing in the middle of a forest or a grassland. And I always found this funny because white guys would always show this photo of some random white woman in the middle of nowhere. And they'd be like, this is what I'm fighting for, blood and soil. And I look at them like, so you're fighting for women to just be out there in the middle of nowhere? That's your fantasy? I always thought this was funny. But I bring this up to you because what is she trying to emulate? Why would a black woman want to be in the middle of nowhere taking a photo? I know what kind of aesthetic she was going for. She was trying to take that aesthetic of that white woman, that ideal white woman that white guys really want, that random woman lost in the woods somewhere, and she was trying to pretend to be that white woman. That's what I see in this photo. He says the next day it was like a switch flipped in her. She went completely back to normal, had Joe pull over on the side of the road so she could joyously run through a green field. Who was she emulating there? This was a white woman, and this is very important to her psychology. She is trying to become a white person with all of her heart. After running through the field, he goes on to say Ashlee's behavior had grown even more bizarre than behaviors he observed earlier. She started chain smoking cigarettes. He says Ashlee didn't smoke. And she started drinking a bottle of white wine immediately when she woke up. So she's out here chain smoking, waking up and starts drinking. He says this was not Ashlee at all. This was someone else. But we know black men, we know this is truly who they are. I think she woke up and after that little white woman fantasy, she had to start coming back to terms that she was a black woman again. And that's when the bitterness came out. That's when the chain smoking comes out. That's when the day drinking comes out. That's when the outburst came out. She started instigating outbursts in public. How many times have you been with a black woman who in public starts a massive scene and expects you to fight that battle physically? It has happened to me more times than I can count, and I personally hate being put in that dangerous situation. And then just goes on and on about them fighting, and he's figuring out that her mood swings and all these issues. But this is the important part. Let's get back to the important part. Ashlee demanded that he take back the engagement ring and insisted that he call the engagement off. Now, he declined because he didn't understand why she was switching up on him, apparently. He told her to calm down. How many times have you told Keisha to calm down? You can guess how that went for him, right? And before I begin any further, now that I've gone over some of that stuff to show you how crazy she was acting, apparently these outbursts, the origin of these outbursts started when Ashlee learned from a doctor in January 2026, there was a possibility that she could not carry a child. And this devastated her. She told Joe McCann, and you're going to be so shocked, in fact, not shocked. You're going to be shocked at how non-shocked you are. She told Joe McCann that she wanted a daughter specifically. Black men, you already know what her plan was. Ashlee desperately wanted a baby girl. She had the name picked out. She also had the hair texture picked out, trust me. And she was asking ChatGPT on several occasions about how the baby would look like based on our photos. Now, Joe doesn't understand why this is so important. Joe just thinks, oh, women want to know what the baby looks like. We know her plan was to get the magical mixed race baby. She was obsessed with hoping this baby had the right hair texture and was light skinned. She even looked up the chances for the baby getting her blue eyes versus her eye color. Now, we understand that if you have kids with a white person, they're not going to get blue eyes. Like, that's obvious. Like, every black person knows this. It's an extreme rarity, but it's almost never going to happen. They're going to have brown eyes because brown eyes are more useful on Earth. Only humans are the dumbest species that think that having blue eyes is somehow better. Okay? Brown eyes are basically just better at almost everything that you have to use eyes for. It's only an aesthetic choice that some humans like blue eyes better. The only benefit of blue eyes is that if you're in like a dark area, you can see slightly better in the dark, which is kind of cool. If you were, a white person living in a low light area hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago, okay, that's great. But in reality, like having a mental breakdown, hoping your kid has non-brown eyes literally makes no sense. And I think this is what started it all. She was so devastated that she broke down crying because she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to have a kid with him. And he didn't care. It's not like he was putting pressure on her that he really wanted a kid. I mean, white men are not really that obsessed with having kids with black women anyway. I'm pretty sure he would be totally fine not having a kid with her. And this part is so important because after she found out she might not be able to have the magical mixed baby, daughter, really, that she could live vicariously through, I've told you, I kind of want to make a horror movie about the mentality of black women, the secret mentality of them. And my idea of this horror movie, guys, was that it was going to be about a witch coven because we know how much they love witchcraft. And the whole idea is that the thesis of this video is that they were trying to create a child that is a light-skinned black child that's a female, because we know they don't want to have a son that's light-skinned. That makes it, they hate that. And the twist to make it a horror movie and to show people just what's wrong with them, mostly for blacks, it's mostly a black movie for black people, is that the women who have this black kid, the idea was that the protagonist is going to be a black man, just a normal black guy like you and me. And what's going to happen is when this magical mixed race baby daughter grows up and she's been told to hate black men and all this other stuff, she starts to learn that, her sisterhood of witch covens or whatever, the great matriarchs, they're looking at it a little strange. They're making a big deal about her turning 21. She thinks, oh, this is going to be my 21st birthday. They're going to celebrate me. But the secret twist is this is the plan where they're going to do the ritual and they're going to try to put their soul in the 21-year-old, magical mixed race daughter's body so she can literally live through her body. I think that would be an amazing horror movie for us black people to really show what they're trying to do, because the whole goal was to live through the daughter. Anyway, he says Ashlee was completely unrecognizable in her actions and words and a different person after she realized she might not be able to have this child. This is when she started screaming and yelling about things that wouldn't even bother her before. And this is when he started to feel that his value as a white man was not as valuable as he thought. Because we understand that if they cannot get that magical mixed race baby from the white man, they start to act like nothing else matters. Even the white man is starting to figure out that maybe she doesn't care about him as much as she led on. Maybe she had an ulterior motive, a whole grand plan she's had since she was a child. And if this grand plan can't come to fruition, then even the white man doesn't matter to her. And he goes on to say that he learned from authorities in Zanzibar that after Ashlee had passed, Ashlee had engaged in a lengthy question and answer session, I guess, with ChatGPT, talking about taking a significant amount of Valium, I can't say that word, Valium, and how much it would take to send her to the upper room. So Ashlee had some plans, some dark plans that no one knew about. Now, I want to talk about this photo. This is one of the last photos of Joe and Ashlee together. This was in Zanzibar when they were celebrating the engagement or whatever, right? Now, Joe's trying to salvage this thing. He's trying to make it work. Because you gotta remember, Ashlee was the kind of girl who would brag about offering her man threesomes and all of this stuff. And I think Joe, because he was already married, this is a second marriage for him. And the first marriage is the deep love marriage, the building, the family marriage, right? But when men get married the second time, the second marriage is all about fun. And I think he found a woman that he thought, hey, I got a good lifestyle going on. She's offering me whatever I could want, all the delights I want. I'm just going to enjoy this thing until the sun burns out. Because, he's middle-aged now. He's just trying to enjoy the rest of his life. Joe goes on to say Ashlee and him were chilling on the lounge chairs in the sand. And when it was time to go, he got up to the bar to pay the bill. At this moment, Ashlee began another outburst that drew the attention of nearby security personnel. He told her that he was just going to pay the bill, and he pleaded with her to remain calm. I think Ashlee was suspecting that he was going to go out to talk to other women. And she'd only be like that if they already had that previous arrangement in the past. You know how women try to switch things up on you. They lure you in with candy, and then when they think they got you, they start trying to take away the candy, if you know what I mean. He says Ashlee decided she would go back to the villa, and he told her that he was just going to stay behind to quote unquote watch the sunset. I don't know if that's what we call that now. But anyway, maybe he just wanted a break from her, right? And I think this is true because the second Ashlee left, and this is out of pocket, he immediately contacted the guest services at the resort, and he started to inquire about getting a separate villa. So at this moment, he's thinking about, I want a separate hotel room. This is supposed to celebrate their engagement, by the way. And even though couples fight, like even if you fought and you're about to get engaged, think about like what kind of guy after a fight before getting engaged would be like, man, we just fought. I think we should have separate villas. Any man who's in love with this woman trying to get married to her, and there's a big fight before the wedding, the last thing he's trying to do is fumble the situation and get separate rooms. If anything, he'd be desperately trying to fix this thing so it doesn't blow apart right before the wedding. And he even posts the proof of him asking for the separate rooms. Hello, do you have any villas or other rooms for rent tonight? And it says, hello, Mr. Joseph. Thank you for your message and interest in our villas. For tonight, we only have a 3-bedroom oceanfront villa available until Friday. He says, another option is from tomorrow for the suite jacuzzi with the ocean. It's like a 1-bedroom living room. Like that doesn't matter. But he says, no. I don't want to wait. I'll take the 3-bedroom. How much is the 3-bedroom per night? Now you can look at that 2 ways. You can look at one that he just is desperate to get away from her and he will take any room. The other way you can look at it is that sources have said that he was quite popular in Zanzibar and he had a lot of connection with the ladies. And you can imagine what a man with money and connections can do with a 3-bedroom, and he's pretty eager for that. He's like, oh no, that's perfect. So we don't necessarily know, but he was willing to shell out $5,600 per night, apparently, if I'm reading this correctly. And that was fine. And y'all might think I'm cold-hearted, but I'm a man. We are men first, and we know how each other think, okay? I don't care if he's white, brown, Mexican, Hispanic, Asian, alien. When you're at the hotel room and you're like, yo, I'm going to need a 3-bedroom, there's only one reason us men want a 3-bedroom, let's be honest. He goes on to say, I then walked back to the villa after taking a shower. Ashlee initiated another heated discussion, and it was at this moment that I finally told her, okay, give me the ring back. The engagement is off. Now, what did I tell you in those other videos? I told you, just speculating on the information that I found, I imagined something happened. He felt that he finally got over his head and he decided to end the engagement and take the engagement back. And she went ballistic. That's what I thought originally. Now, I thought that maybe she had threatened him to expose something about his business and causing the fight. But now I understand it was because she couldn't get the magical mixed race baby and she started treating him like trash. Keishas tend to have this switch. The second they can no longer get what they want from you, they start treating you like you had never done nothing for them in the past. And Joe McCann, I mean, come on, he's a white man, he's rich, and he likes dating black women. He can get any black woman he wants. He could date 30 black women at once. They would all know about each other and they would accept that deal. He was not going to keep taking this disrespect and this bad treatment. This is supposed to be marriage number 2. This is supposed to be the fun marriage. So he called the engagement off. He had already booked a suite with the 3-bedroom. He already had a bunch of women in Zanzibar that apparently he was popular with. In his mind, he had already moved on. He was checked out. And when he let her know the engagement was off, like I suspected before in the other videos, she snapped. She went ballistic. That Keisha that we know is in them came out no more masked. She started yelling, smashing lamps and glassware in the room, and telling him, among other things, that she hopes she chokes and goes to the upper room tonight. I know this video ain't getting monetized, but I'm still trying. During this time, someone from the neighboring villa, because of all the noise, imagine how loud she was, contacted the front desk, letting them know that a couple in Villa 25 were having a disagreement. Within minutes, 4 security guards showed up to the villa. How many times have the police come up or been called because of Keisha in your life went crazy and ballistic? Now he's getting that same treatment, except he has the skin color that the security and the police are not going to automatically take her side. That's the benefit to being white and dating a Keisha. When they do the thing that we know they do with the cops or the security, at least the police and the security are going to take your side instead of hers. At that point, the head security asked if they needed some time or needed to get separate villas, and he immediately volunteered to get separate villas. We know he already had planned it anyways. He's like, oh yeah, I'll do it. But he had already done it. And he explained to them that he was already in touch with guest services to set up the separate villas anyway. So like he had already planned to, he didn't want to deal with her anymore. He was tired. He was done. He was checked out. Keishas will do that to their men. They will get you to the point that you are so burnt out, so frustrated, all you want is peace. You don't even want the cheeks anymore. It doesn't matter what kind of freaky moves they can do for you. It's not enough to make up for the lack of peace in your life. You just want out. He said his bags were already packed and he left at the reception desk, handed off his key for a new villa, and he was gone. He says, once safely apart from Ashlee at the reception desk, Ashlee's mother, Yolanda, tried calling and texting him. But what I want to focus on is the way the man worded it. He said, once safely apart. Do you know how strange it is for a man to say those words that I have said many times in my life with Keisha? You literally feel, once I am safely away from her. Think about how ferocious a woman has to be to make a man genuinely feel fear of being around her and feel relieved that he is safely with enough distance between himself and her. I can't believe this white man is getting put through the same treatment we are. And the best part about this horrible situation is that it exposes this idea that black women like to say to us, that they only treat us so horrifically and horribly because us black men are so bad. The white man was the guy that's supposed to be our polar opposite. Get it? Polar because they're white, ice, cold. Okay, my jokes are not that bad. But us sun-kissed men are supposed to be quote unquote demons in their world, right? And the snowman is supposed to be the angel from the skies. Well, guess what? They're being treated the same way. And he says that the mother was calling and texting him saying Ashlee wouldn't answer the calls and that she's texting terrible things. Now this gets dark and it gets ugly from here, this point out. But I'm going through these texts so you can see that Joe really didn't do it. It really was her. And then I want to have a discussion about what that means, black men. He says he headed down to the staff to his new villa, where he wanted to probably start to relax or plan, the rest of his night. But then he started to receive these incredibly disturbing texts from Ashlee. He says that they were stating the clear intent to send herself to the upper room. I have dated a woman who threatened to do the same thing every time I tried to break up with her. I do feel sorry for Joe here. If you've ever been manipulated by a woman like that before, you know how much you want to get away from her, but how afraid you are that anything you say or do is going to be the reason that she does the horrible thing, and you're going to be blamed for it, and you're trying to manage that situation and just escape. He tried calling her multiple times, but she wouldn't pick up. He's trying to beg and plead with her, but it's not working. And these are the creepy things she says. She texts him, no need for flight info. Take care of your kids. I wish you the best in the rest of your life. I pause because not only is that really showing you that, this was her. We know what that kind of talk sounds like. This is not him. He already distanced himself. So there's nothing that he's doing. This is literally all her. But I also want you to think about the messages that she gave this guy. I wish you the best in the rest of your life. When is the last time a Keisha crashing out has ever wished you the best for the rest of your life? I know everyone, AC and all these guys say in the end, Keisha, white men get the same Keisha we get. And that is true. But they still get a nicer, better version, because Keishas would not be wishing us the best in the rest of your life. They would be cursing us to the end of their days. My mother literally cursed my father's name until the day she died. She passed away recently, and I haven't been able to talk about that. I'll talk about that someday with you men. But she cursed him to the end of her days, and he never did nothing bad to her. Nothing. In fact, when she passed away, he was so kind to me and my brother who were grieving, because despite how horrible she was to me, she was still my mother, and it was still some of the worst pain I've ever felt, because I'm not a psychopath. Keishas like to pretend we're psychopaths. They want to make our image like we're these psycho killers, but we're not. We're not. And they hate what we are. We're children of light, and children of light get hurt when their parents die. They get hurt real bad. I was hurt really, really bad. Really bad. The worst I've ever been hurt in my life. And I only bring up that my mother, I was still shocked. She never said a kind thing about my dad, ever. Never. But this, Ashlee Jenae, she's wishing this guy the best for the rest of his life. In her final moments, she really talked about how she really saw him. No matter what happens, she wants this white man to have the best in his life. This is another reason I really say we don't have women. I really think, we'll talk about it later in the video, but there's no better man for black women than white men, because they are the only men that they would truly treat well, in my opinion. Maybe not the only, but really the focus of their goodness is really on whiteness. They got the quality of whiteness that they desire so badly. And because of that, they're just going to treat them so much better, even in the worst times. And if you don't believe me, look at the next text. She says, sorry, I wasn't enough. I tried my best. Now she's fumbling over her words. I'm not making fun of her. This is a woman in absolute despair. What she wanted to say is, sorry, I wasn't good enough. I tried my best. Goodbye forever. Remember me as someone who cared. Even in her final moments, she is desperate that this white man acknowledges her, that this white man accepts her. She's like, remember me as someone who cared. Keishas would never talk to black men like this. They don't give an F what we feel like. This is what I want you to understand. The obsession with whiteness is more than we have ever thought with them. And she's apologizing to him that she wasn't good enough. Now he's surprised, like, what does this even mean? Black men, we know what this means. She's apologizing because she couldn't have the magical mixed race daughter that she could live through. This was her pretty much only goal in life. And I can say that because when she thinks that she can't have this goal, and then the engagement is off because she knows that she ruined that engagement with the white man. That's everything that she wants. She acts like she lost a relationship with God. Like she acts like she literally knows that she lost a relationship with God. Like she is acting as if she literally knows that God is real, that she has witnessed, that she has seen heaven, that she had a moment with the angels, and that she has literally lost that relationship with God forever. This is someone who basically in her mind has lost everything, which is absolutely something us black men can never understand. She goes on to talk about it just plain, serious and plain, her wishes. Don't let anyone I didn't like carry my casket. No attempt this time. Goodbye, Joe. And this might be the most chilling message. The last 3 messages she ever said. Putting you out of your misery, Z. Now, who is Z? That definitely doesn't refer to Joe McCann. She just wished him the best. Who is Z? Z? Like Jezebel? Z? Like Jezzy? Is that what she calls herself in her head? We know we call ourselves different things in our head. I call myself King in my head personally. I don't actually use my name. I call myself King. So she calls herself Z. Is that for Jezzy? Putting you out of your misery, Z. Please leave me be. Stop. Is she talking to Joe, or is she talking to the entity she's been communicating with since she was a child? That is the supernatural side and the disturbing part I wanted to show. What are our quote unquote women actually consorting with spiritually? Who are they really quote unquote praying to? I don't think they're paying much attention to us. They're talking to something, some kind of spirit. And it's like she's apologizing to this spirit for not being good enough to have the magical mixed race baby, talking about putting Z out of its misery and asking it to leave her be. It's a very disturbing and hard to accept reality. And then that was it. That was the end. She was gone after that. And you know what this reminded me of, black men? I'm not making fun of Ashlee Jenae. I'm way past making fun of them. I am actually afraid, like I'm actually scared of being around them right now. I had no idea they carry this kind of energy in their heads. And I feel as black men that are their reflection, that remind them of everything that they are, that have the audacity to be not only what they are, but successful and happy and not obsessed with whiteness. I think it is dangerous for us black men to truly be around them. And what this reminds me of is a year ago, right before the new year, right before my mother passed away tragically. I know she was horrible to me, but she's my mother. I don't know how to explain it, guys. I don't know how to say it, okay? Blood is thicker than water. You think that I wouldn't care. She did so many horrible things to me, but it hurt me significantly so much that I couldn't speak for about 2 months. But around that time when I was going through it, looking at my mother in a casket, which is the word, I can't tell you how horrific that was. That was one of the worst times in my, I fell to my knees at a time I had not cried in decades, and I sobbed. I wailed. I was so weak. I thought I was going to pass away in that moment. I was seeing, you know, that I am, some of you say superstitious, whatever. I believe in things people would consider superstitious. I was seeing the veil between worlds. When I was going through it like that, there was this cosplayer that I saw, but I was too sad to make a video about it. Her name was Squid Kid 1111. She would go to like anime conventions and cosplay. This is stuff that I did at 18. It was fun. I even used to have a big wooden sword. It wasn't sharp. It was just an anime sword that I would display. And this black woman sent herself to the upper room at only 19. And it was because of quote unquote racist online harassment. Now, white liberals were, going crazy about, attacking the chuds for tormenting this black woman. I understand that. But what us blacks understand is there's always chuds and racist, people. They're not always white. Sometimes they're minorities that want to be white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. But these are like Hispanic and Asians or Indians that don't like being Hispanic, Asian, and Indian. They really want to be white, like Elliot Rodger. He hated his Asian side so much that whenever he saw an Asian successful with a white woman, he went into a rage. He even committed a horrible crime of deletion to his Asian roommates because he hated being reminded that he was Asian and not completely white. So a lot of the hatred she was getting were not even from white people. They were just from people who wished that they were white, who were lighter skinned than her. But because of this quote unquote racist online harassment, Ashlee, or as she went on, Squid Kid 111, bid farewell, and then she sent herself to the upper room. She liked to dress up as these Japanese-inspired characters. And I would do this too. I would dress up as Goku or whatever, but I would dress up as black versions of them. But apparently, because she was dressing up as these anime characters, these a lot probably Asian, white, Hispanic, whatever, men, I guess, were letting her know that you're black. You don't look like the anime characters that we quote unquote goon to. Let's be honest. These were the goon squad. And they were offended that this black woman, this black girl, really 19, was trying to dress like the characters that they desired because they don't like black women. And her dressing up as these characters was ruining for them. She was ruining their gooning session because they didn't want to believe that, their favorite anime girl character could be black. And you can see the photo she's wearing. All weaves. You can see the blonde weave with the blue eyes. I mean, I can tell they're blue contacts, but because her eyes are black, they're dark brown, you can't really see the blue so well, but I can tell that's what she's doing. She's dressed up as all these characters. Red hair, long Asian girl, black hair, blonde hair. And she's not showing off her real hair color, right? She's nowhere near blacks. And these guys that are not black are roasting her up because she's dressing as these characters and she's not white. And they're harassing her and they're probably calling her slurs and all this stuff. But the thing is, there were plenty of black men that were defending her right to dress up as these characters, and they thought it was cool. Squid Kid 111 sent herself to the upper room because, like I'm telling you, Keishas don't care if we defend them. Keishas don't care if black men approve of them. Keishas don't care if black men like them. The only person's opinion that mattered were white people's opinion. And because she was rejected by whiteness, this young girl felt that she didn't have the will to go on, and she sent herself to the upper room. Meanwhile, you have channels like, SSK with Froku making up black versions of these anime characters. And the black men are having a great time. They love being black. They just put themselves in these characters' shoes, but they're still black. They make Goku's hair black texture. They're not trying to pretend to have like long blonde hair. They're just making blackified versions of the Viltrumites and everything like that. The blacks are having a great time playing around with anime as black people because black men actually like being black. Black women don't. And when they're rejected by non-black men, they don't feel that there's any reason for them to keep going a lot of times. And that's what I wanted to talk about. We have the stereotype, because it is true, that black people rarely send themselves to the upper room. But what we're starting to realize is that this is mostly black men. Apparently black women, they're a bit different from us, and we have to be honest. So while this is sad and horrible, I just wanted to talk about, who they are from our perspective, black men. We got to admit that, these black women, they're not our women. They're not our women. How many times have you seen some report? This has happened time and time again going through my life. Of one white guy, just an average white dude who would get almost no play in America if he was around white women. Almost no play in any other European country. He might get like average guy stats, like he get a date here or there, but nothing serious. He'll go to an African country with no money, and he will sleep with 700 plus black women in a span of a couple of months. And he will have houses in Virginia, and he'll know it, and he'll just pass it on to hundreds of black women, many of which are married. He didn't have to do anything to quote unquote seduce these women. There was this one guy recently, I think it was a Russian guy. He used the Ray-Bans with the that could videotape, and he was just going around, and he showed how he did it. He just walk up to black women, say, "Hey, want to sleep with me? I got a room." And that's all he needed to do. No money exchange, nothing. This is who they are, black men. And this is why I'm not anti-divestment at all. In fact, I am pro-divestment. We have to accept that we don't have queens. I'm so tired of y'all calling them queens. They are not queens. They are not hyenas. They are kings. Black women are kings, and they have their own kingdom and their own goal, and their goal is to get closer to whiteness. And we are at risk being around many of them because we remind them of what they are. And even worse, we have the audacity to enjoy being ourselves and be successful as ourselves. And they don't want that. That's probably why they love Pookie so much. I mean, think about it. When they date white guys can be nerds. Isn't this something you've noticed? Haven't you noticed how white men can be nerds? They can be the nerdiest, nerdy guys ever. Not only can they be nerds, they can work at Walmart. They can not have a job. They can just have a boring 9-to-5 and live in an RV. They don't even have to live in a nice RV. It can be a 2010. And black women will give them nothing bad about it. In fact, they'll treat them like a king, or really they'll treat them like a queen. Yeah, you see that? They actually don't treat white men like kings. They treat them like queens, if you really think about it. And they will literally have the white men staying at home as they work to pay his bills. He'll be sitting at home as a painter, and they'll be at work doing twice the shifts to pay his bills, because that is the goal of their kingdom. So anyway, guys, this is the last video I'm going to do about Ashlee Jenae. I'm going to update all the links. Joe did not commit a crime against Ashlee Jenae. Joe is not a people deleter. Joe is innocent. Ashlee did this to herself. She really did. I know it's hard to accept. I know it's painful. I didn't really want to make this video. I wanted to make a different video, but I had to make this video because you guys need to accept. I know it's hard for you to accept, but white men really run Keisha. Not just white men, really whiteness in general runs Keisha. It does. That's what they serve. They don't really serve like a religion. They don't take religion seriously. You know, they only use religion to try to gaslight us when they want to do the reach back. Their religion is whiteness. And if we're around them, we are an obstacle. Do you understand why I had to bring this video up? I want you to understand that you are an obstacle to her. I made a post a long time ago. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to find it. This post I made 2 years ago when this channel was still called Men Being Happy, when the stupid part of my brain still held on to the hope that maybe as a people we could be something. I know that was stupid, but I kept believing in exceptions, you know? Like, oh, well, Ches is okay. Didi's okay. Dee Dee is beautiful, but Dee Dee is 50. I thought she was 29. Like the one exception we can find is 50. No, we are cooked. I made this post and it said, social distance away from them black men. This is their fantasy when they can't have a pokey. We don't exist in their dream lives. Colored hair, weaves, hierarchy based on colorism. This is them. I was walking home and I saw this poster for Disney Descendants, The Rise of Red. And I looked at this profile because it was definitely a movie for blacks, right? For black girls. Because little white girls aren't really trying to watch movies about black girls, right? Their parents really want to watch little Disney movies about white princesses, not really black princesses, right? And I want you to look at this poster. This poster was created deliberately, and black women basically had directive control. I want you to notice, you have the darkest skinned black women all the way at the bottom, as small as possible. One of the dark skinned black women is literally a pirate, like a man. The other one is a queen in blue, but she's in the back. The light-skinned black woman is in front of all of them with the scepter holding the power. It's hard to see, but when you look at the teenagers, the children in the back, you see I guess it's supposed to be the daughter of the blue queen, whatever, with her blue hair. Notice all the weaves. And she's still in back and behind of the more light-skinned mixed Keisha's daughter in the red. Kind of shuffled off to the side, like, get out of here, you. Then when we see the quote-unquote daughter of the black pirate, the dark-skinned black pirate female, guess how she's posed? She's posed in this masculine little pose, and behind her are two young white boys. White men, if you want to call it that, but they look like teenagers. These are really white boys, right? She's leading these two white boys. And then when you go up, guess what? You see the princess. It's the lightest skin-looking black, maybe mixed Hispanic Keisha you can find, all up in the front as the leader. And then you got the slightly darker black woman, black teenage girl, behind her, hierarchy, with the fake blue weave. And the weave is weaved like a white woman's hair, not even like their hair. Where do you see the black man? Where do you see the black man in this photo? Black women had full control. If a white woman had control, you would see more black men. I know it's messed up, but that's the reality. If a white woman was in control, you'd see more black men. That's crazy. That white women are more of an ally to us than what we thought were our own women. Where are we, black men? Where's the black teenage boy? Magical mixed race daughters. How many magical mixed race daughters do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No sons? No sons. But 2 pure white kids, right? 2 pure white sons. Where did they come from? Who's their dad and mother? Doesn't matter. Probably created with magic. Us, we don't exist. This is their plan for us. This is their fantasy when they are kings and have the power. We don't exist. I'm not even angry at them. I just think we need to separate away from them. Let them go be kings and pursue whiteness, and we'll be kings and we'll pursue betterness. If there's any kind of exceptional that wants to join our kingdom and she acts right and y'all want to get with her, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm at the unk stage of my life. I have literally buried my mother. If there was an exception for me, I would have found her by now. I am done with them.